going?
Good. My name is Taylor. I am 37, and my question is, should I date a married man?
How married is this man?
Not very.
Okay. Is he
um,
separated?
they are separated. Yeah.
Okay.
They've been separated for about 2 years.
You're not a secret.
No. Well, no. It's very new, so I don't know necessarily that I am known either.
So what is your understanding of the dynamic that you have?
My understanding is simply I will have to dig deeper, but currently, when they separated, she decided to date women. So she is in a relationship with a woman,
Okay.
and they don't live together or anything. He hasn't lived with her for like 2 years.
Okay.
But they're not divorced, and he says it's for tax reasons. And then they also have like a house that they've bought together, like another house that they bought as a couple with another couple. So there's some entanglements there. He really likes his contracts with people.
Gotcha. How long have you been hanging out with this guy?
3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So it's
So
pretty new,
it's pretty new.
but I do like him a lot.
You like him a lot. Okay. So how many dates have you been on with this guy?
Probably like five now, five or
Okay.
six.
All right. I'm curious, when did the alarm bells start going off in your head where something felt a little off, if at all?
I'd say like the alarm bells are probably more along the lines in maybe like lifestyle stuff as well as age. So it's not necessarily fully like the married stuff, though. That would be more of a problem. I feel like down the line if they don't get a divorce, or how long that takes, or what that looks like. But it's more that I don't know him that well. He owns a bar and he co-owns a bar, so he obviously kind of is in that lifestyle more or less. So I would say like sometimes just I don't know what that's gonna look like with drinking and stuff.
Is
But
that an issue for you?
depends if it's an issue for him.
Do you have any reason to think it is, other than the fact that he owns and operates a bar?
I mean, he's definitely drank every time we've hung out, but he's never been drunk.
Okay. But
So
that
he might just be like, a drinker,
okay.
but
And
over time,
are you a drinker?
not so much now. Kind of slowed my roll a lot on that, but I will say that's because it affects my body a lot,
Okay.
and naturally.
But like when you're hanging out with him, is he having a drink because he's having it, you're out at a restaurant and he has a drink with dinner, or is he just like kind of always drinking?
I feel like so, well, we're pretty much all, if we're out at an adult place. So, and every time we do that, he'll have a drink or drink, but he just drinks beer, but I feel like it's just steady. And so I do wonder how steady it is
Okay.
on a regular
Just out
basis,
of curiosity,
more or less.
5 dates in 3 weeks is like that pace. Are you used to that pace? Is this new for you? Like, I'm curious.
I just got out of well, not just about last summer, I got out of a 5.5 year relationship.
Okay.
So it's been like a long time since I really dated.
All right.
And I do feel like the pace is nice in the sense that it's not like a ton, but it's been a significant amount. I've spent the night at his place a couple times,
Okay.
but we haven't had sex yet.
You haven't had sex yet?
No.
Okay. And this is the first time is this the guy you've liked the most since your breakup?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, like, again, it's relatively new, right? And I guess I'm hearing from you a little bit of just like anxiousness and fear, or maybe overthinking and breaking down situations. It's like he owns a bar. What does that mean? I've seen him drink, pretty regularly. What does that mean? But we've also kind of been out when I've seen him, like the married part,
Yeah.
like there's two separate things I think to be mindful of. One, you have to be mindful of the fact not to kind of overthink and overanalyze. And you're just going to have to let it, if you like this guy, right, you're going to have to maybe let it play out, right? It's only been 3 weeks. You've only had 5 dates. 5 dates in 3 weeks is, it's a lot. That's not like crazy or anything like that, but in a good way, it's a lot. You're consistently hanging out, right? For whatever reason, you're now like getting a little bit of pause. Is there, other than the fact that all right, you mentioned the marriage part. He's separated. You have no reason to think he's lying, right? You've learned about his life and his situation and his marriage and his career, and now you're just kind of wondering, is this too intertwined or too messy for me, right? Like you're not necessarily even wondering if he's being dishonest or for any reason, right? Correct?
That's correct. I don't feel like he's being dishonest. I feel
Okay.
like he's pretty upfront when I ask him questions.
Okay. So, I guess my answer is I don't really have an answer. Like, I can't say, oh, yeah, you should definitely not do this. Or, if you don't think he's being dishonest and you think you can trust him, it's only been 3 weeks. So you have to be prepared to be wrong about anything, right? You have to give yourself the grace to pursue a person, to learn more about a person. You think something about him now, and you're going to continue to learn, and you're going to be right about some things and wrong about other things, right? The hope is that the things that you're right about are the more meaningful things, and you hope that the things that you are wrong about are, or maybe for the better, you're wrong about, or, but you're just gonna have to be willing to learn. You're gonna have to be willing to learn about this person and their life. I mean, you're 37. How old is he?
He's 49.
All right, it's 49, right? So like you're 37, you have a past, I don't know about your life or your past relationship that was 5.5 years. He's 49, he's a little older. Like most people you meet in their middle ages, like come with baggage, whatever that baggage looks like, whether it's an ex-wife that they're still married to in a house, which is a little bit more baggage than most people are used to. You have some kind of baggage. We all have baggage that we bring into a relationship, right? He has more tangible baggage, right? This ex-wife that you're like, huh? You're married? Like, and then, you find out they're married. You got to ask some qualifying questions and things like that. There's some definite red flags, right? Like the fact that he's still married, and it doesn't sound like what you're telling me, he has any immediate plans to change anything, right? Like if he's referencing tax purposes and things like that, well, those whatever benefits they are enjoying as a result of them to not get divorced, chances are that's not going to change. So what I'm hearing from you is that while he remains single and he's out there dating, he is comfortable with continuing to be married to his wife, right? There seem to be some practical benefits for those two people to stay married. So my guess is whether it's you or some other woman in his future, that will be the reason they eventually get divorced, because if this man is serious about like maybe meeting someone else and developing a relationship and growing a relationship, I hope that he's aware that like that new person eventually might not be okay with him being married to someone else. Now, maybe it's too early for you to know what his relationship goals are or how intentional he is about this thing that you two are growing into. Does that all make sense?
It does. It does. I guess in my I will say my previous partner was 49 and I was like, I don't want to go quite that much older. So I really didn't intend to even really date this person. It just kind of
Sure.
did happen.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. I can't pick apart age.
Yeah. I mean, you're like, I want to date a 34-year-old next. I mean, yeah, you can set that as a goal, right? But like as we get older,
Yeah.
age definitely becomes a lot more relative. And now you're learning that not every person that's 49 is the same, because, I'm guessing this person's different than your ex and they come with different baggage
Very.
and things like that. So I think what's important for you, if you continue to date this guy, to continue to ask questions. Do you know if this guy, do you know if he's like looking to, like first of all, what are your relationship goals?
Well, originally I didn't have any major relationship goals. When I broke up with my ex, although I broke up with him last summer, I kind of we had some other stuff and then we were hanging out a lot. And then I had originally wrote in because I was like, do I keep hanging out with him or I was like, do I rekindle something with him or do I need to really just move on? And so I just ended up downloading Hinge. And I went on a couple of dates, but then I met this guy in the wild when I was out, and he just kind of has surpassed all of like the people that so I just kind of wanted to focus on one thing because I don't have the bandwidth for dating a lot of people at once or even trying to
most people
keep those
don't. But like,
conversations going.
I mean, do you have any general goals? Like, do you want to date forever? Do you want to get married? Do you want to have a life partner? Do you want to have kids? Do you not want to have kids? Like, what are those?
I would like to get married.
Okay, you would like to get married.
I do not need kids.
Okay.
I'm not interested in kids.
So you don't need them or you don't want them?
I'm not interested in them. I don't want them.
Okay.
No.
All right. So now you have some idea of okay, those are some of your relationship goals. Do you have any idea what his relationship goals are?
I did ask, and this was like on our very first date, and I guess I think I was feeling very like loose because I was figuring we weren't gonna date again, but I was like listening to his situation. I'd kind of written him off on the first date because of all of this kind of complication, and then but opted to give him in. But I had asked him if I was like, well, given your situation, you probably never want to get married again, do you? He's like, no, I would definitely get married again. So I feel like that was good. It was a
So
quick
he would,
answer.
but you have no idea if that's a goal of his.
I don't know if it's a goal. I would have to imagine. I don't know that he's thought much about goals if he's still in a marriage. Like,
Well, I don't know. I
I
mean,
don't know.
but that's kind of my point, right? Like you've heard the word intention be used. It's a common we throw it around nowadays, but there's, it does articulate what people may need to do more of in certain situations, which is to be more intentional with what you're doing with whatever it is you're doing. And to be intentional means that you don't kind of go into anything with, or whatever you're being intentional with means you have less of like a laissez-faire, like what we'll see what happens, and like I'm just kind of open, and like, you want some flexibility, especially when it comes to dating early on, right? Like I think there's phases of dating where there's the kind of more openness, laissez-faire approach. You need a little bit of that early on because early on you have to be open to new things and be surprised, and you have to take a chance on people who might be outside of your type or comfort zone or things like that. That being said, once you meet someone, that you enjoy their company, early on, you should have a pretty clear idea of what this person wants out of dating, especially if you do. Otherwise, like, what are you guys doing, right? That's how you get in this. That's how people get themselves in these traps. Like in your case, right? Here you are, you're dating this married man, right? He's still married. That being said, he doesn't live with his ex-wife. His ex-wife is dating women now. So, in terms of like, oh, is there still something going on between him? It's like, you sounds like maybe the way he articulated his situation, you know, makes a lot of sense, right? And you can understand why maybe he's still married. But like you should have, if you want to get married, how long do you want to interact with someone, get to know them, spend time with them, maybe be intimate with them, invest real time before you understand if that's something they want to do? That's different than knowing someone who's willing to do it. Like he's like, oh, because, oh, I'm open to it. Okay, well, it's still early. What I'm saying is like I think some point sooner than later, you need to maybe learn more about what this like guy's plans are for dating, right? Because if you want to you want to get married, and you like him, do you want to take 6 months to find out that this man really has no plans on getting divorced? And like while he's open to getting married, it's not like something he really cares about. And maybe you'll find out that at 49 years old, he wants to keep things pretty casual. He likes having someone around. He likes having someone to like go on dates with, have dinner with. He likes someone to maybe have sex with if you guys start being intimate. And maybe he likes someone to like, again, like date and maybe even call you his girlfriend if you're willing to, you know, to define the relationship. But like, maybe he doesn't want to get all that serious, or maybe like how long do you want to wait to find that out?
I mean, I would give that at least 3 months I mean, 3 to 6 months, I don't think is that crazy to wait for that kind of information because you kind of don't really even know, I think, how much you truly like someone after, I think it takes a couple months anyway to even know if those would be, how he'd feel about that. I will say, like, one of the reasons my 5.5 year relationship didn't work out is because he never got around to asking and I just needed to move on. So I definitely don't want to wait 5.5 years. I definitely learned something from that.
Okay. Well, listen, I kind of partly agree with you, but like, again, I'm not asking you to, say, hey, do you think you can marry me or anything like that? It's not about how he feels about you, but I do think you could get a little bit more information about how serious he is about, like, again, what does he want out of a relationship? Like, why is he dating now? At 49 years old, people should know whether they want to date just to have companionship, but like have a more independent life, or do they really want to date because they still want to find their life partner? Now that he is, separated from his wife, 49 years old, very much middle aged, right? Very much has a lot of great years in front of him potentially. He very much could be in a position where he's like, I really want to find someone that, in these years, I have someone to enjoy life with, and I want to find my person, and I want to, that would make a lot of sense. It also would make sense if he doesn't want that, but I do think you should be willing to find out sooner than later. Because sometimes 6 months turns into 12 months real quickly, and then 12 months turns into 5 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think there's a part of you that is afraid to ask. I'm sensing, right? Because like, you finally got the guts to leave that relationship, but I'm guessing it took you a while to get to that point.
Too long, yeah.
Yeah. Too long.
It was like I knew it, and I also had to plan like a 6 month out breakup for it too. It was a lot of planning on that one.
Yeah, so I want to avoid getting yourself in a situation like that again, because this does now. While his situation does make sense, and it doesn't sound like he's being shady or living some sort of double life, his life is a little bit more complicated, and developing a relationship with this guy will only make his life more complicated for him. And if you do learn that you care about this guy and things evolve, you don't want to be the person who makes him get divorced. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want him to want to do it because that's what he wants. But like, I think you need to find out a little bit more about, I don't know. If at 37 years old and him being 49, I would want a little bit more clarity than him kind of sounding like a 21-year-old fuckboy. That's kind of like, yeah, I mean, like, I want to get married someday for sure. Like, totally. Like, obviously, but it's more of a.
I don't think he said it that way.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I mean, you were there.
Yeah, I feel like he felt kind of confident in saying that, which was good.
I guess my point is, you do not have to be a good people reader. You don't have to like be good. You should just be able to ask. These aren't interrogating questions. Like, what do you want out of dating? Like.
That's a good way to put it. I've kind of been asking like probing questions here and there, but I just kind of like sprinkle them in because I don't want to pepper them all at once.
No, that's fair. And you can find the right balance. I'm just saying, I'm getting a sense from you that there's a little bit of reluctance from you to press, because you don't want to be pushy or whatever the reason why. And I do think you could press a little bit more than you are. At the end of the day, we are afraid to press in any situation because we're afraid of people saying, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. This is too much for me. You're pushy, whatever. I feel disrespected, whatever, whether it's a negotiation or in business or just, and we sometimes when we're pushy, we don't want to because we're afraid of offending. We're afraid of pushing too much and losing what we want, but sometimes we have to push. We have to push for answers. My point is, in someone in your position who has a hesitancy of pushing, I have a hard time believing you're going to push too much. And if they really care about you, if they really like you, it won't feel like enough, especially if it's just like, hey, you know what I'm saying?
So essentially, I should ask him what he is looking for out of dating. I think that is a good question. When he's talked about his ex, she's just turned 40. So she was also kind of significantly younger. And sometimes it sounds like she has some similarities. So part of me also wonders why, because before they ever even get to divorce and or her being with someone else, there were other deeper core issues. And so I don't know whether to probe too much into that, but that has me curious only because in some ways she just sounded similar.
Similar to who? Him or you?
Me. But I haven't met her or anything, so I have no true gauge.
How does that make you feel?
Well, okay, in the sense that when he talks about he never ever talks bad about her. And I know they kind of are still in, obviously, since they have same friend group and stuff. I think their paths still cross and things like that. I guess if she is similar to me, I would wonder what the core reason is of them not working out in the first place. Because he's pretty laid back, and I am too. And then I just don't. I just wish I could understand better. I wish I would. I look forward to meeting her.
Why?
I want to know what she's like because
Why?
well, or just ask him and get his opinion on why he thinks they ended outside of the lesbian part. Because I think there's probably a deeper issue than that, typically
Why do you
speaking.
need to know?
Because I would be curious because if there are similarities, if that would be a similar, like if we would run into the same issues, basically. But I guess that might be too probing.
I don't know how necessary. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you need to meet her. Well, here's what I think. I think you don't need
I
to.
might, and I
Yeah,
probably will,
in
but
term.
I
Well,
don't
sure.
care.
If you continue to hang out with them, sure, but you don't need to meet her to like try to read
Hmm.
her. I don't think meeting her is going to tell you anything about your two's compatibility.
Okay.
Short of realizing
Yeah.
that she might be not as out of the picture as as you thought, and she could, I guess, be problematic or a pain in the ass. But like, I don't think you need to meet her for the reasons you're stating. Let me ask you this: if anything, what baggage do you think you bring into a relationship?
I bring in baggage
I mean, baggage is a bit of a
wise.
heavy word, but like, like the point I'm trying to get at is this man that you're dating is married, does own this, and he's still going into the dating world confident, I guess, to be like, I need you to accept my situation. And my situation includes a wife that is still married to me, and we own property together. We, like we're pretty intertwined, but like, and he has the confidence to expect you to like work around him. And that's fine. We all are able to do that. But I'm just wondering, as a 37-year-old person who's lived 37 years of life and has her own shit, like, are you also willing to say, this is who I am and these are things that I need at, this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to make sure that you two
Yes.
are on equal footing and that you're not the person who's always like accommodating his baggage and his needs while you're just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because he needs to accept things about you. You seem very open to accepting things about him. You also have the right to say, I'm not willing to accept that. As someone who was in a relationship for 5.5 years and him being the first guy you like since then, you have to be mindful of the fact that, like, this is going to this is already exciting and new because it's a first in a while. You have to be mindful that you don't you don't start accepting things that you ultimately wouldn't like because, it's just exciting to like someone, right? You got to remember that. Like, you might really like him, but you still have a lot to learn about him. But don't go into this relationship already asking yourself, do I have to be okay with things I wouldn't normally be okay with? You have the right to say to yourself and to him, if 3 weeks go by and you have 5 more dates, and so then you've known this guy for, I don't know what, a couple months, to press him a little bit more about, like, yeah, do you think you're ever going to get divorced? Like, no, seriously, like, I really like you and this has been really fun to get to know you, and like, but like, why are you still married? Because, like, I'll be honest, I really like you and I just I want to get married someday, and the fact that you are married, it doesn't sound like you're planning on getting divorced, and totally get that, like, financially it might make sense, but like, is that something you would plan on doing? Because, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would be very cautious about how much you invest in this person, given the fact that you want to get married and he's married. And you can't get married to him
Yeah.
unless he gets divorced, right? And so,
Right. And that itself could be a long road.
fine, but like, I would be very cautious about entering a relationship with someone who's not even in a position today to give you what you ultimately want when it comes to being in a relationship. It's like the same
That's a
thing.
good point.
You don't like, if someone met you, right? If someone, like, if a guy called in, right, and said, I'm dating this woman, I really want kids, she doesn't. And then he's like, I really like her. She's a lot of fun. We have a good time together. She makes me laugh, love her. We like the same stuff. But like, I don't know. I would be like, I don't know if you should date her, because you don't date someone knowing that, like, one of your big major, like, benchmarks, a non-negotiable, if you will, like, you getting married sounds like a non-negotiable for you. Someday you want to get married. I mean, yeah, life might change. Who knows? But like, you want to get married. So
Yeah.
I'd be very careful about dating married men. Or married men who have no real plans on getting divorced. And like, well, I get it. I get his explanation. Makes sense. It just might not be for you. Right. And you know what I'm saying? So I would be very cautious about entering or investing in a situation that like right now isn't ideal for you, you know? Like you don't date someone knowing you want to have kids, knowing they don't, hoping they'll change. And I think that's my point with you is I don't think you should invest that much more time if you don't have clarity about what this man really wants to do with his marriage. Because you don't want to
Right.
invest months and then find out he's really not going to get divorced anytime soon. And that truthfully,
Mhm.
he really likes his situation. He's comfortable getting along with his ex wife. They're actually pretty close. And he doesn't want to fuck up his bar and his investments and his house or whatever it is that might be intertwined. And he would rather just generally date casually with, and be okay with dating people who are comfortable accepting his life. And I don't think you are in a position to accept his life. I think you want different things for yourself. And I think you can, vet this out a little bit more. And I think it's fine to keep dating him and learn more. But like right now, the information that you have is very unclear at best. And signs point to him not being willing to get divorced anytime soon.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. I think I was trying to, and that is why I wanted to talk to you, because I was trying to figure out how basically the mindset to go into this with, whether I was overthinking it or basically what to look out for. And I think that's a really good point, is giving it a couple more months to get a feel for it, but not wasting too much time if he's not giving any real concrete answers. He did say, like I pushed him a second time asking more clarifying questions, and he did say like they had decided to stay married 2 more years, and that so the goal was to do it within like this year or so, because it was like that first year after helped him in taxes, this year helped her, and he's like, so now we
Yeah.
can
And
kind
you
of
know what?
start
Again,
doing
they
that
may end
stuff.
up getting
So
divorced. I just want you to understand that you do not need to accept his life outright. And you have the right to say,
sure.
there's things I want. I think as a 37-year-old woman or person, a 37-year-old person dating, I think you need to have more clarity about what you want for your relationships and for yourself. Being in more intentional, saying out loud to yourself and eventually the people you date that like you really want to get married someday. And I don't think you should be afraid to put that out there pretty early. And then you should hope that discourages some people. You want to find out who doesn't want the same things you want. If you want to keep dating for fun
Yeah.
and just fuck around, sure, date people that like aren't very serious about what you're serious about, But if you want to date with intention, then like you have a right to filter out some of the people who don't want what you want, and you can do that pretty early. Don't go into a dating situation hoping people change.
Sure, sure. I think what is nice about him is I've been able to communicate better with him about hard stuff. So what you're saying, I feel like is very doable. He's been much easier to talk to about hard stuff than my ex was. So yeah, I think that helps me at least go in with eyes a little more open and kind of knowing what questions to ask. Because I really also wasn't sure what questions I can even ask some things.
You can ask
But
whatever you want. And that's the thing. I think that
yeah, I know.
you clearly have a little bit of hesitation and a little, and I think you need to, the biggest thing you need to focus on, I think, in my opinion, is just understanding what you want, come into this thing with a little bit more confidence, and you have the right to say what you want. And listen, so many times in dating situations, we want to say the right thing, because we want people to like us, we want to feel accepted. But honestly, when you really look at it pragmatically, sometimes saying the right thing is the wrong thing, because saying the right thing is saying something that we don't really mean, we don't really believe in, but we're doing it or saying it because we want to make a good impression. We want to be accepted, we want to be liked. And then, that's why people call it the honeymoon phase, or when they say you go on a first date and people don't really meet you, they meet your representative, and then all of a sudden, you're 6 to 12 months into a relationship and you're like, you're kind of different. The more yourself you can be, and be comfortable with being rejected early on because you are willing to be yourself, it might take a couple blows of the ego. It might be a little like, you might feel some fatigue at time because rejection can always be hard. Do you want to date someone for 5.5 years again, only to have to break up with them because ultimately are going to end up not giving you what you wanted? You know what I'm saying? But that's how you get yourself in situations like that. So you need to change as well. It's not just about finding
Yeah.
someone else. It's about you recognizing, how did I get to that point where it took me 5.5 years and I had to make up this whole plan to exit the relationship? That's something you need to reflect on and that you need to change about yourself. It's not about just finding someone different, because the part of
Mm.
that caused you to wait that long is the part of you that is maybe just not standing up for yourself as much as you should, not being confident in yourself to say, this is what I want, this is what I need, and if you're not able or willing to give it to me, as sad as that might make me feel, this isn't for me. And you have to be willing for someone to meet your standards in dating too.
Yeah. And getting to the bottom of that before I'm very emotionally invested is also, I think, what you're trying to say too.
Yeah, it's just you're definitely just kind of giving a general tone, which I think is very relatable for people that, you don't want to step on their toes, you don't want to press, you don't want to be rude, you don't want to, I don't want to ask questions that are, but like, listen, you got to figure it out, and we have, as we
Yeah.
get older, we have less time to waste on people, and, so it's just like how
And he's an
intentional.
adult,
Yeah. No, yeah,
he can
sure.
handle it.
Exactly, right? And also you can handle it too. You can handle finding out.
Yeah. I can.
And because this is all about you being afraid to get an answer you don't want, right? And that's why we don't ask questions,
Sure.
is because sometimes we're afraid of the answer. And then we're afraid either I don't want to get that answer because I don't want to have to do something difficult like leave, or I don't want to get an answer and or be rejected. I think my big takeaway for you is when you're out there dating, whether it's this guy or you move on with this guy, is at least understand your basic non-negotiables, your basic relationship goals. What do you really want for yourself? What's the type of relationship you want? And then early on in dating, you should find out pretty quickly whether that person's even capable of meeting those main goals, because all the other stuff is inconsequential to your non-negotiables or your main core values of what you want for a partner. And there are a lot of nice people and good guys and funny guys out there that still might not have the same core goals that you have for yourself when it comes to being in a relationship.
Yeah, I think it can be, I think sometimes when you don't want kids, it can be hard to pinpoint those goals because a lot of people are like, oh, I want to get married and have kids and like build a family. One of the reasons I want to get married is so I could get a house with someone, like a mortgage with someone. Because I don't really want to do that outside of a marriage. But
Is that just because like it'll help financially, or you just don't want to?
I would rather I'd rather go down the path where we're going to do we're doing things together and then we buy a home together. Not for me personally, I can't afford one by myself.
Okay.
And I also don't want to just like date someone and get a house with them, but there's like no other thing tying us together. I think that's kind of crazy. So all I'm saying is that when I think about like, when you say goals, I'm like, well, marriage is sure a goal, but it's hard to think of like bigger goals. And sometimes I wonder even if like, is that just a petty goal? Because I don't want kids in a family, but I don't think it is. That's why it's sometimes hard to pinpoint those big relationship goals with me.
That makes sense. But,
I
sometimes
understand what you're saying.
when you meet the right person, I mean, clearly, listen, you have some kind of goal because you left your last relationship because ultimately he didn't want to.
Mm,
I think you have more
Yeah,
goals than you realize.
that
I think
is
sometimes when you're in a relationship that you're really happy to be in, like it also shifts your goals.
true.
So I think it's okay that
Okay.
you keep hanging out with this guy, but don't be afraid to get more information. I feel comfortable saying that you should get the answer from him sooner than you feel like you're ready or is fair, because I think you have a tendency of talking yourself out of confrontation.
All right. I think that's pretty fair. That gives me at least some way to move forward. That's thoughtful. I was kind of, I feel like I did do a lot of overthinking in my last relationship. And so some of this I was trying to just relax and enjoy the kind of
Yeah, and
dating process with him.
you
And
can, right? Just because he is the first time you
yeah,
got like, but just be careful that you're not lying to yourself and convince yourself, well, I'm just having fun and chilling, because the truth is you're afraid to find out. Just
that's good.
be
That's
careful about
good.
that.
Yeah, that makes
Okay?
sense. I can do that.
All right. All right.
Again, I feel like I've been able to be upfront with him and stuff. So I think I can continue to do that and hopefully get the answers I need.
All righty. Okay. Well, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. It's great to meet you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
All right. All
Take
right. Good
care.
luck. And please give us an update if anything changes with him.
All right, I will.
All right. Take
Thank
care.
you,
All right.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Nick.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
What if I told you that the most important part of your spring cleaning routine is your sock drawer? Yep, you heard it right. It's time to ditch any mismatched tired pairs and refresh your collection with some fresh Bombas socks. That was my problem before. Basically stopped me from embarrassing myself, because before that I had all these mismatched socks. And because I'm obviously a dainty leg crosser, sometimes my socks show. They would notice my socks not matching. And I think people really talked behind my back. Yeah, I think I was some butt of some jokes, but no longer, because I have Bombas socks to save the day. Ready to unlock your new running hobby? Well, Bombas engineers blister fighting, sweat wicking athletic socks that will help you go from the first mile to a whole marathon. If it's wedding season, they got you covered. Really, everything you could possibly imagine. Bombas has the sock for that occasion, and they got some really great selection, some fun socks as well. Whatever you want, make sure you protect your feet, and you won't regret it. Bombas is going international. Enjoy worldwide shipping too. Over 200 countries. Head over to bombas.com/VIALL and use code VIALL for 20% off your first purchase. That's Bombas, BOMBAS.com/VIALL. Again, that code is VIALL for 20% off your first purchase. Bombas.com/VIALL and use code VIALL. Caraway. I just got a new Caraway set. I felt the need. I was like, new pots and pans. And I looked no further than Caraway because they are the non-toxic cookware made modern. That's right. And it's non-toxic. Oh, why are you cooking with toxic cookware? People, wake up. Love your families. You know what I'm saying? Love yourself. And it's really scary that what it is in those toxic cookwares. Not PFAs, all these weird letters that are probably very dangerous for you, but not with Caraway. They look great. They hang, they decorate the kitchen very well. Very easy to clean, very easy to cook on. I cook with them every day of the week. And you can too if you want to cook like me. We did the math, and there's no better time to make the healthy swap to Caraway. Our favorite cookware set will save you $150 versus buying them individually. Plus, if you visit carawayhome.com/VIALL10, you can take an additional 10% off your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our listeners, so visit carawayhome.com/VIALL10 and use code VIALL10 at checkout. Caraway, non-toxic cookware made modern. Helix! Oh, I'm so excited to get to talk about Helix. Got a new Helix mattress. I got 3 new Helix mattresses. Anyone who visits me is sleeping on a Helix mattress. I have so many Helix mattresses. I've considered starting a sleep wellness clinic, just providing people with the sleep that they're not getting. It's just such an affordable mattress made with love, care, and quality. It's truly the best mattress you'll ever possibly get. When I go to a hotel, I will check the mattress. I will pull up the sheet. And if it's not Helix, I sleep standing up because I'm that dedicated and loyal to Helix, and you can and should be too. They have a lineup of 20 unique mattresses for all types of sleepers. And if you want to know what kind of sleeper you are, you just head to helixsleep.com and answer a couple questions about how you sleep, what your preferences are, what you like in bed, literally. And they will give you a mattress of your choice, and it will be perfect for you. Are you big and tall? Great. They got a mattress for you. Are you a kid listening to this show? Questionable, but they do have a mattress for you. So tell your parents to go to helixsleep.com right now and get yourself a mattress, and you'll be happy. And the good news is they have a 100-night sleep trial and a 10 to 15-year warranty to try your Helix mattress. So it's risk-free. Recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine as a go-to solution for improving your sleep. Go to helixsleep.com/VIALL for the Sleep Awareness Month flash sale to get 25% off site-wide. Sleep Awareness Month, people. That's helixsleep.com/VIALL for 20% off site-wide. helixsleep.com/VIALL. How's it going?
Good. My name's Jessica. I'm 26, and I'm wondering if I should break up with the guy that I want to marry.
All right. Well, why do you want to marry him, and why do you think you need to break up with him?
When I first met him, we kind of had this really instant connection that just felt right, and I'm debating breaking up with him because it's been almost 5 years since we've met, and we've had some back and forth. And now I'm kind of at this place where I'm going to be turning 27 soon, and I'm just kind of getting ready to settle down. And there's a couple things that I'm a little bit concerned about in terms of how he is in a relationship.
Like what?
His problem solving abilities aren't really the best. He tends to want to run away when it's time to talk about things that might be bothering me. I'm going to say run away fully. It's just that he kind of avoids the situation, and then I'm kind of just stuck either having to sweep things under the rug, which does not work well for me, or kind of do all the mental labor
Okay. I do want to point out that when I said, why do you want to marry him? And then why do you think you need to break up with him? The only thing you said about why you wanted to marry him is when you met, there was some great chemistry.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. I definitely think that there is more beyond that. I think that initially when I met him, I had that feeling of like, is this the person that I'm going to marry? And I don't know. It's just like the when you know feeling that people talk about. So I experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, beyond that, like as the years have gone on, he is one of the best people that I know, and he is a wonderful person. There are a lot of traits in him that I see that I want in a husband.
Like what?
He's very hardworking, so that's a great provider, which I really respect. He is very loving. He does little things for me a lot of the time that make me feel special. Honestly, there's not too much, like we really don't argue much. I feel like our relationship, anytime that we are fighting, it's like I feel like I'm kind of fighting by myself, talking to myself, I guess. And it's more him just listening, saying that he'll do better and wanting to do better. But I don't really feel like there's like skin in the game, I guess. Like it's not like he's really like investing into it and like diving deep with me on these issues.
Do
And
you
I
have
think that's
a
what
do you have a very specific argument or issue that like you felt like you were you know, communicating to him and
yeah, I could give a good example. Recently I had a company party and I wanted it was all of us were going to go, all of me and my company, along with all of our significant others. We're going to go away for the weekend, and he was supposed to come, and he never really marked it on the calendar or anything like that. And then I brought it up multiple times, reminding him, and then when right before that weekend was about to happen, he had something come up with his family, and it wasn't. It was a party for his family. It was a holiday party, and he just was like, "Oh, this is going on this date," and I said, "That's the same weekend as my company party, and it's really important that you're there for me." And he was like, "Oh, well, I don't really know what to do. This is like a every year type of deal. And it's really important that I'm there. It's like, it's a big deal for my family that I'm there. And so, I mean, this is on me too, because I just said, okay, well, then I guess you can go to that." But then I had a lot of feelings about it that I wanted to keep on bringing up and talking about. And I just kind of was saying, I'm not cool with this. This kind of like makes me feel like you're choosing other things over me, which kind of tends to happen. I feel like I get put on the back burner a lot of the times. Like it's like, oh, no worries, she'll just kind of figure it out, and then I'll have to get over it a little bit. And so I asked him if we could talk about it. I think 3 times. I gave him a few days in between each time, and each time he was either like, I just had a really long day at work, I'm really tired, or can we just not do this right now? It's kind of late. And then I guess like right before I left, I was just like, this really needs to be talked about. And his response was just like, I'm gonna have a lot of good things to say to you after the weekend's done. So like after the fact, like after it's all finished. And
and regardless of the details of the story, but that last part I'm hearing happens a lot.
yes. Mhm.
So whatever it is you guys are fighting about or in conflict about
Mhm.
or not on the same page, because honestly, like the details of that story, I mean, I could ask more questions and I could sit here and be
Yeah.
like, well, I kind of get where he's coming from or not get where he's coming from. It doesn't really matter, right? You had a point of view, he had a point of view. Which event was more important to,
Right.
who knows, right? Like to him, obviously that was an important event. You wanted him to be there for you, vice versa. I don't know. Maybe he's a bad planner, not that organized. You were frustrated for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But the point is, your frustration really comes down to he just kind of nicely blows you off and waits for you to
Yeah.
give up.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. That's what it is. And I did notice that trend. You're definitely right, spot on there. And I think that even like it's almost like he's really happy when I just can like ignore things with him. Like if it's like if I can just get over it on my own, like and I just like keep it pushing, like it's like it almost makes him he's like like relief. I don't have to go into any conflict resolution, I guess. And I feel like that's a part of the relationship. Like I don't like to fight, obviously. I don't want that either. I don't want to feel upset, but I feel like that's a really big strength in a relationship. It's what brings you back together when you can solve problems well together. And
Sure.
I know that further down the line, when I have kids one day, I don't really want to be dealing with a partner who is just expecting me to either figure it all out on my own, or if there's something that is going on between my partner and I don't want it to be like, okay, well, let's just put that to the side because there's so many other more important things than your feelings. And that's kind of the gist of how I feel often. Like feelings aren't that big of a problem because he's also a little bit like of a workaholic too. So it's like for him, it's like him putting his work first a lot happens. And then it's like I'm just kind of expected again on that same front to just like step back and just be like, okay, that's fine when you have time for me. And it makes me feel desperate. And I don't love that feeling. Of course, I want to feel chosen as well. Um, so
Where do you
yeah,
think you fall in his list of priorities?
I mean, he would say
I
that
don't,
I'm his
I
top
don't, I don't, I
priority.
don't, I don't, I don't care what he says. I'm curious how you feel.
I feel like I would say I'm after work. I would say I'm number two.
What percentage out of 100 do you think work is a priority versus where do you?
Mm, I'd probably say work is like 70. I'd probably take up 30
He only has two
for sure.
priorities in life?
Yeah, just working. No, obviously he has. He's very close with his family. He's not really like we do have like a couple close friends, but he's not really. He also started his sobriety journey almost a year and a half ago. So he's been kind of starting that fresh. So it's like that's also another factor, I think. But
What were
he goes,
did he have a big drinking problem or did he just,
yeah, yeah, it was just a drinking problem. It was kind of like pulling him off from the things that he wanted in life that were important to him. That, I mean, he obviously, of course, too wants to settle down, wants all that stuff too. He wanted to work towards those goals. But that starts with being able to take care of yourself first, of course. So,
how did he get
um,
sober? Did he go cold turkey? Did he need 10 to 12 step?
no, he went cold turkey. He can be a little extreme. He's just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And that was it. And he's like, my life is so much better. Everything's great. Also, him and I, with the on and off stuff that we have had, I met him, like I said, about almost 5 years ago. We were quite a bit younger when we met, and he would do this cycle where it was like 3 months of sobriety. And I was always in his life when he was like going through that, where it was just like he wanted to like not be going out and partying and hanging out with a bunch of like just the wrong crowd. And then he would kind of fall off and get back into that and then circle back around. So I feel like I have some built up stuff where I just feel like I'm just like always there. Like I've always kind of just been available, which I'm like now I'm kind of starting to regret that. But there's nothing I can do to change the past. And like this last year and a half, we've been together fully while he's been sober. So that has been like the beginning of I feel like the first time we've actually taken a real chance at it for this last year and a half. And we lived together and everything. And we've just
Real
like
chance at
jumped in.
what?
Just like being together because before I don't really feel like it was taken seriously by him. He's been in my life for 5 years, but it was on and off for every 3 months. And then we took like a big break. I dated another person.
Was it his choice or your choice to take the break?
It's always been my choice. I just say like I can't do this anymore, and I just like leave. And he never fights for it. Really, he's just like I understand if you're unhappy, like you're unhappy, and I get it. So that doesn't really feel like my choice either. Sometimes.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's your choice. You break.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were doing it
Yeah.
hoping to get a reaction you didn't get, and then he didn't fight for you. So you're like, I guess I'll date someone. Maybe that'll make him jealous.
Yes, I feel like I've done a lot of things like that where it's like I feel like he's kind of been like my kryptonite, I guess, where it's just like I just like can't. Like I don't know why. I feel like I put myself in positions where it's like that was either like hard, like I hurt somebody else because I'm trying to get over him in the process, or like I
What
just have like embarrassed myself trying to do something that like
what brings you
to
guys back
like
together when you took the break?
he always would reach out and like we both like would always say how our connection is very special. And it's just like we are very good partners. Like I feel that we balance each other really well, and he does ground me a lot. We end up missing each other, and when he reaches out, it's just like it's very hard for me to not want to step back into it. And yeah, I don't know. I guess that.
Have you ever broached therapy with him? I mean, can I already assume what his answer was, but
Yeah, no, actually, we do have a therapist. We go to couples therapy together.
you go to couples therapy.
We do, yeah.
Does that work? Do you guys get anything out of it?
Yeah, well, we first went because of all this stuff with the back and forth. I kind of had a lot happen. Well, I got pregnant twice
By
with
him?
him.
With him?
Yeah, by him. Yes.
Yeah, and
Well, the first one I miscarried, and he was not really able to be there for me that time. And then the second one, we weren't together. I had like just a little bit of, I freaked out by the reaction that I got from family members the first time around that it happened. And I like knee jerk reaction had an abortion. And I do feel like I regret that because that's something that I've always wanted in my life is to be a mother. So I feel like that was really hard for me to get past those two things.
yeah, I'm sorry about
And
that.
so thank you. Yeah. But we did go to therapy together to get past that because I just kept on bringing it back up. And I was just like, I just don't think I can move past this and feel like I can have this trust with you and like that you actually like I didn't believe you loved me fully, but I was like, why am I with you? Then I don't understand. Like, I feel like like weak in that sense where I just was like, I'm with you, but I don't feel like you actually love me, but I hope you do. And so then through therapy, I did find that like I know that he does love me. I know he wants to be with me.
How do you know that?
I mean, a lot of his actions, like I said, like our day to day is really, it is great. He does make genuine efforts and tries hard to show me that he loves me daily in his words, and he's very like affectionate towards me. And not like in a sexual way, it's just like I can like in an adoring way.
Have you talked with your couples therapist about the issue you're calling in about, which is essentially like he doesn't really want to engage in any type of conflict resolution with you or communicate, or just hear you out and deal with some stuff as opposed to feeling like he just kind of like avoids you, waits for you to get over it, and then you feel kind of like you have to convince yourself. It's because it sounds like you have to convince yourself to get over things that you're not really over. You bury it, and then it
Yeah.
just kind of sits there, and like I don't know, you're like, I don't know, I guess whatever. And then have you talked with your therapist about that with him?
Yes, we have. Yeah, we have spoken about it a little bit, but it's mostly around the issue of him prioritizing work because when it's brought up, it's like he's just too tired to deal with things when it comes down to it. Like it's just like it's always he's too tired. So my therapist has like tried to, or our therapist has tried to suggest like just him making like setting certain time aside to be intentional, and that's when we started to do more like date nights. And it's just the discussion. Sometimes it just feels like when it's too heavy for him, it does hit a point where it's just like too much to break through. And like, I don't know, I guess we haven't really nailed down that specific topic with our therapist, which that's a good thing for us to focus on and bring up. I feel a little bit helpless about it. Like, I just don't know if that part of him can change. So I think maybe I'm just scared to bring that up too.
Well, I
Because
mean,
I don't really know if it would be.
you called in.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying you called in debating whether you should break up with him if this part doesn't get better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you have to lose?
True. Yeah, that's true.
Like, how seriously are you
Nothing.
thinking he might not be your guy?
I feel like this is kind of where I go back and forth because I feel like I have done a lot of convincing myself of things in our relationship. So I feel like in my mind, I feel like he is the person for me. And I don't really feel like it's that much of a percentage that debates if he is or not. But when I get to the point where I feel frustrated and like he's not participating, I'm like fully out the door. So it's like, I don't really know how to gauge if that's a lot of me is contemplating it or if it's just like something that is like a really important thing for me to obviously it is an important thing for me to fix and to change within our relationship dynamic, but yeah, I'm not really sure how to gauge that.
Do you feel like
how much it's me?
Do you feel like he's more of your boyfriend or your partner? And by partner I mean like being a partner, like a teammate. Do you feel like he's a teammate?
No, that's the thing that you always say where it's like you have a boyfriend who wants the benefits of a girlfriend but isn't really interested in
Being a
being a
boyfriend?
boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yes, that's kind of how I feel like it is sometimes with him. Like I do feel like he is more like that than a active partner who wants to like, because he can do all the other things like I mean obviously like this is a little different, but it's like with taking out the trash or like picking me up from the airport, like things like I know I can rely on him for certain like physical things that I need
Sure.
a partner for. I mean, emotionally, I can also rely on him for like my own stuff if I was talking to him about it. But when it's him and I, it's like if it involves him having to like dig deep, it's like he's just like he knows that he avoids that with everybody too. It's not just me. But yeah, that's not really where I have feel like he's like stepping up as
Well,
a
listen,
partner.
you've been through a lot with this guy, clearly,
Mhm.
and you're clearly conflicted. I guess what I would say to you is, you know who he is. This
Mhm.
is who he is. You've been with him for 5 years. You
Mhm.
have tried all sorts of things to try to get through to this guy, but he is, and correct me if I'm wrong about any of this, unbelievably, consistent at least, or, stubbornly himself. And you've tried
Yeah.
all sorts of ways to try to tweak and adjust this part of him with very little
Mhm.
success. Does that feel accurate?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because there has been success, but right, it's kind of little compared to
Well,
the
I mean
things
success
I'm.
around this particular topic, not success in
Yes.
the sense
Yes.
that, like, I mean, he's currently your
Yes. Yes.
boyfriend, but
Right.
and you're in one of these situations where it's a challenge, right? Because, like, ultimately, it doesn't sound
Mhm.
like he's like some toxic asshole, or you can actually point out some things that you really like about him. I do think it's interesting, again, even though you did eventually articulate things, it sounded like,
Mhm.
this guy just does it for you. Like, but
Mhm.
like, there's a lot of chemistry there, but like, there are some significant aspects of the relationship that do seem to be missing for you. And
Yeah.
you, sounds like throughout the entirety of your relationship, you've had a hard time letting go of just of the chemistry, the intangible, which I get. Like,
Mhm.
that's hard to find with people. So it's hard to let
Yeah.
that go. But there's a difference between dating someone for a period of time, or, I guess there's a difference between dating someone in your 20s and marrying them for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
And which is why I think a lot of people, like, have a
Yeah.
hard time sustaining marriages and relationships these days, because they get married for reasons that have nothing to do with keeping a marriage going.
Exactly.
And when they get married, like, most people stay in relationships because of how they met, because of, like you
Mhm.
said, like, we meet someone, especially in your case, we meet someone that, like, that boy, that meeting them really, I bet you vividly remember how you met. I bet you like, at times, telling the story, or at least fantasizing or reminiscing about how you met in that period of time. And I'm guessing when you guys met, you made a lot of promises to yourself. This is the man I'm going to marry, or, whatever, stuff like that. And, we don't want to, internally, we don't want to be wrong. We don't want to feel like we're full of shit, and sometimes we
Right.
hold on to how we met someone, and we hold on to these kind of promises we've made with very little information about someone's character or how they are in relationships. And then we date them for a period of time, and then all of a sudden we're like, well, I've been with them for 5 years, and it's like this. But, like, very little about
Mhm.
why they're in the relationship has to do with how that person makes them feel day in and day out. So,
Yeah.
it's not a clear choice for you, because, I understand there's a lot of history there, and I understand he sounds like a pretty good guy. And it's like, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, and you're like, well, and
Yes.
you've also dated other people, and you still kind of went back to him, and in your mind you're thinking, that kind of justifies me coming back. I tried to date other people, but you might have to make a decision that you leave without dating anyone else for a period of time. I don't know, but I will say this. The thing that you think is a problem in your relationship is a problem. And the
Mhm.
feeling that you feel alone in your relationship. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. That's fair. That's something that I tell him a lot when we're going through certain things like that I need to talk through, I do end up telling him I feel really alone in our relationship right now, and I feel disconnected. Like sometimes, when it comes to that, and that's where usually it drives from, is like I feel disconnected. And then he's just like, okay, I don't like, it's almost like I feel like an annoying little sister sometimes. And it just makes me feel so uncomfortable because I'm just like, this isn't how I should feel. Like,
Yeah,
I should feel like
it's just,
you know,
I
I don't know.
it's probably not going to get much better. It hasn't gotten better. I
Yeah.
mean, you could certainly, I'd certainly try it out in couples therapy if you're still going to couples therapy with them. But eventually you're going to have
He
to,
did say that he would see our therapist on his own too now, which I don't know if that would help the case because I know that he does want to work it out and he wants to be with me, but I know that it's for him, it's just like this emotional, it's the emotional intelligence that he never learned to have because through his life, what he has done when emotions arise is suppressed.
sure, but also like, I don't know, he's not, I don't know him at all, but doesn't sound like an idiot. And a lot of what you're saying isn't a matter of, it has nothing to do with emotional intelligence. It's just a willingness to be there for your partner. I'm too tired from work isn't a lack of emotional intelligence. It's just like he doesn't care enough.
Yeah.
Or he's just used to
Thank
you.
you. I feel like
Or he's just used to you
no,
giving
I
up.
feel like I do hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I do feel like I need to hear that sometimes because I think that like I feel like I want to hear the truth no matter what always. And I just like I feel like this means you just don't care. And that's okay, but just say that. Like I don't want to pretend like it's because it really has nothing to do with the fact that like I don't care. It's just I really am tired. It's like even if I'm so tired and I can barely like keep my eyes open because I'm just so exhausted because I've had the most draining day. I would never just say, "Oh, you're feeling this way." Let you just continue to feel this way so that I can feel comfortable with how I want to feel right now and just go to sleep. And like on my time, we'll talk about this when I'm ready because it's just like that just feels so unfair to me, and it feels like you just don't care. And like let's just call it what it is.
I think a lot of times
So
we all like to make excuses for our partners for their shortcomings, especially if we've tried and failed. So the next step is just kind of make excuses for them. And I do think in a lot of cases, women like to make excuses for their male partners a lot. And in your case, the stereotype that women are more emotionally mature than men and yada, yada, yada. I think a lot of times women will play into those stereotypes and then make excuses for their boyfriends and chalk it up to like emotional immaturity and he just needs to do the work and he's just been suppressed because he's a man and toxic masculinity. It's like, I don't know, maybe he just doesn't give a shit. Like maybe,
right.
like I don't think he's all that emotionally stunted. He sees you like coming to him and saying, let's resolve this. And he's like, not right now, babe. And you let it go. You've already broken up with him and it didn't work.
Right.
And I think that's probably why
and I feel like the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do. I really feel like the boy who cried wolf because it's like, I'm done. I'm never doing this again. And like,
so maybe right now, maybe your tone should be like, stop accepting apologies for things he's apologized multiple times for.
Yeah.
And so when you voice a frustration and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, just say, I don't want your apologies. I want you to care. And when he says, I do care, then you say, I need you to show me that you care, not just say that you care, because you say you care all the time and then you show me you don't. What I want is to deal with shit. You don't like to deal with shit. And I am tired of dealing with our shit on my own.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
And you make me feel like a nag because you don't care. You just don't care. And stop calling him avoidant or whatever. I don't know, maybe it, but like, whatever. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Okay.
Or, he cares just enough, and I'm not saying he doesn't care, but he clearly cares about you, right? But at the end of the day, what you're asking for is not that complicated. because you're not even, you're just asking for him to like take the time
Participate.
to participate and talk with you about a frustration you have and just work through it.
And I'm honestly, I do not that I don't think it matters how I come across when we are arguing, because I do feel like in moments I have a right to be upset, but I'm not hard to talk to. Like, I want to resolve the issue. I don't want to get into some big fight. I don't think anyone really does, but I feel like that's what's frustrating the most to me is it's just like it could so easily, and then he gets frustrated when he's like, "Why are you upset?" Like after days and days of me calmly asking, "Hey, can we speak about this? Can we talk about this, please? Like, I really like this is bothering me." It's like, and then once I've been kind of put off for multiple days, then it's like, what's wrong? I don't understand. It's like, well, I'm frustrated. Now I'm like emotionally, like I'm crying. I'm
Yeah.
whatever, because it's just like I'm like,
Do you
what?
I mean, I'm curious, have you referred
Yeah,
to him as your best friend before?
funny you asked that. Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but he is one of my best friends, but he's not my very best friend because
I'm glad you know
I,
that because like I'm guessing there are
yeah,
other people out there who know you better than he does.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
And the fact that you can say that 100%, like the guy you've been dating with for 5 years,
Mhm.
you've been pregnant with twice for different reasons, those pregnancies didn't proceed. Both of them, whether it's a miscarriage or an abortion, are incredibly emotional experiences and experiences that I can safely guess he doesn't really totally even know what you went through in either of those experiences. And if he does, most of
Mhm.
that is a result of dragging him to therapy.
Yeah,
Do you think he's
definitely.
and how much about those experiences do you think he's still completely unaware of what you went through?
Yeah, I think a lot.
And are there other people who
Yeah.
know better?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, my best friend that I've been best friends with since childhood has a really hard time. She's come around and like he has grown a lot
Who do you think
over the
his best
years,
friend
but
is?
me.
Yeah, I and that doesn't surprise me. It does not surprise me that he actually probably thinks of you as his best friend. Best friend, subjective. We all can have different definitions of what that means, but like people who really know who we are, people that we have given the opportunity to get to know us without, and accept us for all of our strengths and weaknesses. You're his
Mhm.
best friend because you've been willing to be his best friend, and he's not your best friend because he hasn't been willing to be yours.
I guess that's interesting that you brought that up. That's a point that I was thinking of not too long ago. Um, I was just thinking of how he does always tell me like, "You're my best friend," and I told my sister, I was just like, I just don't feel like he's mine though,
Have you
because
ever told him that?
I have such great, no, I haven't. And that's
Yeah,
on
well,
me for
yeah.
sure. I
Well,
usually just tell him, yeah, like you're my best friend too.
I think
Not
that
really
is
true.
okay. Well, stop lying to him.
Okay.
I don't mean,
I
you're also
will.
lying to yourself a little bit, but I don't
Yeah.
mean, it's like, but that might hurt him. And I don't mean like, I mean that like in a good way.
Yeah.
The only thing that's going to save this relationship is you're going to get through to him somehow. So stop telling him what he
Hmm.
wants to hear. Stop placating him, stop trying to not ruffle his feathers and just be
Yeah.
honest with him about how you feel about your relationship. Like, what do you have to lose at this point? And when you say things like, you're my best friend, you can be like, I know, but, I've been thinking about it. You're not mine. And you're not mine because, like, there are other people out there who just know me better than you do. And they know me better because, like, they took the time to care. And you don't care. Like, I'm your best friend because I care. I've been willing to be your best friend. And you're not my best friend because you haven't been mine. You haven't been there for me. You just haven't. Like, you've been okay at
Hmm.
times, but there are people out there who are. And I want the man I marry to be my best friend. And I think a lot of people we like to say, oh,
Yeah.
they're my best friend. Well, your best friend should know you better than most people.
I feel like relationships for me, like my family and my friendships, like that's something that I put so much effort and time into because it matters so much to me and I have the best support system. And so it's hard because it's like, I feel like that should make sense in the area of my partner too. And it just doesn't. And yeah, that is hard because I'm like, I just really don't want to. I do feel like we have so many good parts about our relationship, and it's so hard for me to like get that out of my head. But I feel like I have to just be so honest. That is the most important part of who I am is the relationships I have. And so it has to make sense. Like he should be my best friend. You're right.
The good doesn't make up for the bad, and there can be a lot of good in relationships, and it doesn't mean they're your person. So, like
Yeah.
when you're going through that kind of, oh, well, I like this and I like that, that all might be true. But if your constant feeling about him and the relationship is a negative one, that tells you something. If you're more unhappy than happy when thinking about him and the relationship, that tells you something. If you're constantly just feeling disconnected and alone in your relationship, that tells you something. And if the man that you've been with for 5 years isn't your best friend, that should tell you something.
I definitely haven't really thought about it like that before because I do think that I value because of the value of my relationships that I just with my family and friends I think that it would just be hard to come close to like for any guy like I just don't I've never really had a significant other where I feel like they're my best friend. They know me inside and out. I don't really feel like I've had any guy really take the time to get to know me super well. And I've always been worried about being with somebody who is with me because of what I can give to them versus like, because I feel like I will give like everything I have into a relationship.
Well,
And I
yeah.
just think that, like, obviously, I mean, most people do, I guess, but I just think that sometimes too, maybe I overextend a little bit. And then I just think that like I'm afraid of that being taken advantage of, but I'm letting that happen is what I have to
If you took out how
come
you
to terms
guys
with.
met and all of the investment you've put in this relationship, what would you think you have?
When you say all the investment, do you mean like all of our everything like time spent total,
Yeah,
or
I
do you
mean, I
mean
mean, I
just
don't know.
like
Most people, I'm curious what you
you're
think about that, but a lot of people in your position, it's
Mhm.
hard to walk away from something you've put a lot of work into,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
especially when there's been like so much positive change, I think, through our relationship and growth, like although it like might not look like all that much, it's keeps on getting better and better in all these areas. So I guess if I took all of that out, I don't think I
Do you
don't know if I would be in the relationship. If it was just like this is a brand new like if this was a situationship, if I met him how he was now and I was coming up with these issues and I'm my age now because it's like obviously me at 22 is very different than me at 27. And I think that if I was just looking at that for what it was and not knowing anything about him and just seeing that, I'd say, yeah, I'm good. I would like someone with more ability to be there for me more.
So, I mean, that should tell you something. I mean, history's not nothing, but it's not, you don't have kids, you're not married, you know,
Hmm.
there might be
True.
a time in your place in your life where the history gets you through it, but like before,
Hmm.
because like the truth is, whoever you marry, you're gonna deal with some shit. Shit's gonna happen. I don't know what, but I promise you this, even the person that you marry, let's assume that him or someone else, but like you eventually get married, and when the moment you get married, you feel like I really love this person. Maybe you figure shit out
Hmm.
with him, maybe you break up and you find someone else. But let's say the moment you get married, it feels so fucking right and good and exactly what you hoped for yourself. Even if you're lucky enough to be in that position, I promise you, something's gonna happen in that relationship, and you're gonna think to yourself, I can't believe this ever would happen to me or us. It will, I promise. And it doesn't mean you
Yeah.
guys can't get through it. A lot of people do get through. Everyone deals with shit like that. I don't know what that shit is going to be. It might be something that you cause, he causes, something that's just avoidable. Maybe just like life happens, something happens, God forbid, with a child or a parent. I don't know, right? Money, who knows? Life fucking happens and you have to deal with it. Right now, you have someone where, like, God, when that happens, you're going to be totally alone. So, listen, I don't know if breaking up with him is the right answer, but I do think starting now, you need to just be more direct about how you feel about him in this relationship. And you need to stop trying to fight for this relationship by yourself.
Okay.
Do you feel like he's afraid of losing you?
Yeah, he tells me like life would be really scary without you.
And
I
maybe there's
and
hope, but like he needs some kind, like
yeah.
something is not connecting the dots. And I don't doubt that he might be. You might have to talk about, I think that friendship comment might be worth
I
pointing
do
out.
too,
I would maybe
honestly.
bring it up in couples therapy. I think bring it up in couples
Okay.
therapy.
Good idea. Yeah.
And I would bring up the fact that like I'm seriously thinking about leaving this relationship because I feel alone. I don't want to, and I don't want to lose you, but like I do feel like this is a person that I realize is not my best friend, and they're not my best friend because like they haven't really been that interested in being my best friend. And he might say,
Mhm.
"Well, I am. What do you mean by that?" And you're like, "Well, because Becky, Molly, and Erica, they all know you don't know this about you don't. There's like a lot of things that you don't know about me, and you don't know about me because when I come to you and try to share things with you, you tell me you're too tired. You're never interested in hearing
Right.
about what I'm feeling. You act as if it's constantly an inconvenience to you. And like there are other people in my life who don't make me feel that way. And I don't think I should be in a relationship with someone who makes me feel that way. And I've tried endlessly to try to fix that. So like I'm pretty much at the end of my rope.
I like it. I think that feels good. I definitely want to be honest about that, and I think that that resonates a lot for me. And I think that that would be shocking for him to hear. And like you said, not in a way that it's like I want to hurt him. It's just in a way that might make him understand a little bit more of like how he feels about me is not the same way I feel about him, which should raise a flag for him.
All right, was this helpful?
Yes, it was very helpful. I appreciate you.
All right. Well, sorry you're
I
going through this.
appreciate your show too.
Oh, well, thank you for saying.
Thank
Listen, you're in a tough spot because I get it. Like it's sometimes it's a lot easier if he was just a giant piece of shit or whatever. You've been through a lot together and there's a lot you love about him and there's a lot of good in this relationship, but you shouldn't feel like this way most of the time.
That is something to ponder. Yeah, my mom will always tell me that too. She's like, you just keep coming back to this, because I call her like, and I feel like I feel like I'm going insane sometimes with how much I go back and forth because it's like, as soon as this comes up where I feel alone, I'm like, I want to leave. And it's like, I do voice it to him every time. I'm like, I want to leave.
Yeah,
And
but now
I feel like
there's
he
idle
thinks
threats. Yeah.
I'm the boy who cried.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do that. Because I don't know if I really fully mean it. And it's like now I'm sitting here talking to you about it. I'm trying to get clearer on if I mean that or not. And I feel better about knowing now. Like I've tried to calm down from that and saying like I'm gonna leave all the time and threatening that because it's like it's not helpful. And if I really mean that, like I just want to do it through my actions and just say, hey, here's what's happening. I'm leaving. If that's what's gonna happen, I
Well,
don't want to have to be like seeing if
I'll
I can get a reaction.
I'll leave you with this, but something I had to learn on my own and something I've said and when I've done questions with Nick, I think there's language to the effect in my book. But if you break it all down at its core, people who get back together with people they have broken up with, it's mostly out of a lack of patience. At the end of the day, we break up with people because we think we can do better. And I don't mean like from an ego standpoint. It means like if you decide to break up with them, you're doing it because you certainly hope, and I'm banking on the fact that you can find someone who's more emotionally willing to be in the relationship with you. And you've tried that before, but then you got back together. And you didn't get back together because like love, you got back together because you dated one other guy and that didn't work out. And then he was available and waiting. And you're like, well, okay, I guess I'll go back to him. And you lacked the patience to see it through. You missed him. Who you dated in between like was actually worse than he was. So it was like, oh, all right, he's worse. You have, and so a product of you guys being together is your lack of patience in believing in what you deserve. That's just a fact because something caused you to end that relationship in the past.
Right.
Breaking up with people that we care about is a very difficult thing to do. And yet you got to that place. So It wasn't a mistake. There was a reason. It wasn't like out of just some sort of like flippant decision. We break up with people for valid reasons. I don't really think there's mistakes. I think there's just, we lost patience. And listen, sometimes people break up and it's, high school sweethearts, or, sometimes it's good to break up and sometimes we get a clearer idea. But at the end of the day, whoever broke up with someone thought they could do better. And maybe they were wrong. Sometimes we realize we were wrong. But in your case, I think it's more a lack of patience.
I agree with that. I've never been alone either, which is like, I've always gone from relationship to relationship. And this is like,
and
now
this
that
guy's
I'm at
your
where I'm
big kryptonite. He's the guy that you just does it for you and just fucks you up a little bit. And sometimes that fucking you up is kind of toxic, sexy, and fun all at the same time. But he is a bit of kryptonite, and there is a constant theme in this relationship. And if you don't want to be the boy who cried wolf, don't be. If you decide to leave the relationship, it's not going to be easy. You're going to miss him. It's going to break your heart. You're going to want to come back to him, and taking him back again, God forbid, if you were to do that again, I would hope that would be him truly fighting and showing, and him actually doing shit on his own and getting there, he hasn't changed yet. So if you were to break up with him and a month later, it's not because he changed. That's the thing. He is choosing not to do things about it, right? And so often when people break up with someone and then it's like, oh my God, I'll finally do the thing you asked me to do. They're not doing it because they changed. They're doing it because you forced their hand.
It's, like desperation just to get back. Yeah.
So just some things to think about. All right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, keep us posted. Would love to know what you end up doing.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
I will.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Cats shouldn't eat processed food for every meal. That's why Smalls has become many cat owners' go-to food. Listen, if you love your pets, feed them good food. It's really freaky how much we love our animals and what we put in their bodies. Well, now you have great and a healthy option, and that is Smalls. Smalls cat food is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free ingredients you find in your fridge, and it's delivered right to your door. That's why Cats.com named Smalls their best overall cat food. Smalls was started back in 2017 by a couple of guys home cooking cat food in small batches for their friends. I want to meet those guys. I just want to know everything about them. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Two guys making cat food for their friends. That's a special craft, and I want to meet them. They're probably billionaires now because what they created was love for cats. And then if you're going to love your cat, you need to get them Smalls. After switching to Smalls, 88% of cat owners reported overall health improvement. That's a pretty big number and a big deal for your feline. The team at Smalls is so confident that you're going to love their product that you can try it risk-free. That means they will refund you if your cats won't eat their food, because they know they will gobble it up. Yum, 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 yum. What are you waiting for? Give your cat the food they deserve. Head to smalls.com and use promo code VIALL at checkout for 50% off your order plus free shipping. That's the best offer you'll find, but you have to use our code VIALL. You won't get half off if you don't use our code. One last time. That's promo code VIALL for half off, 50% off. Hey, listen, I'm not getting any younger, and sometimes I look left, look right, and I go, whoa. Well, thank God for Go Pure, because they're tightening and lift neck cream. We spend so much time caring for our skin and our face, but what about our neck? Unless you're wearing turtlenecks all day long, your neck is out there for the world to see, and it's one of the first places to show signs of aging. It really is. That's why Go Pure Beauty developed their revolutionary Tighten and Lift Neck Cream. Powered by the clinical proven active ingredients, this active formula is designed to visibly firm, smooth, and rejuvenate the delicate skin on your neck and chest in as little as 4 to 8 weeks. Go Pure isn't just about transforming your skin on your neck. They have a full line of science-backed skin and body care to brighten, hydrate, and restore your glow from head to toe. So check out their amazing lineup, because they're doing more for people than just tightening up and helping out those necks. With over 1 million jars sold, this beauty secret is no longer a secret. For a limited time, our listeners get 25% off gopurebeauty.com/VIALL at checkout. Just head over to gopurebeauty.com/VIALL. Use code VIALL and you're all set. When they ask where you heard about Go Pure, tell them it was from our show. Hey, listen, sometimes it's okay to be basic, you know? You have to have your staples in your life. Every guy needs some Henleys and some fleece hoodies, some jeans, some button-ups. You get your staples, your basics, and you want them to fit right. You want them to be durable and last. And that's where True Classic is going to help round out your wardrobe or upgrade your wardrobe. God knows, guys, you probably have, ladies, your guys have some undershirts and stuff that just have no business being in their drawers. Upgrade to True Classic today, and you're going to feel much, much better about the clothes that you're putting on your body. Whether it's long sleeve Henleys, fleece hoodies, again, jeans, button-ups, joggers, and more, True Classic has it all. They have a great activewear that's moisture-wicking, odor-fighting, quick-drying, and antimicrobial. Anyways, it doesn't stink. It's great to work out. It looks great on your body. You'll look like an absolute stallion. Free shipping on all orders, so you don't have to, pay more. Trusted by over 4 million customers and 200,000 5-star reviews. You know it is a trusted brand with a lot of happy customers. Whether you're bundling up for the cold or getting ready for spring, level up your style with clothes that actually fit right. Just go to my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/VIALL to save. That's trueclassic.com/VIALL. Shop now and elevate your wardrobe today. How's it going?
Hi, I'm Danielle. I'm 24, and my question is, how do I date as a 24-year-old who's never been in a relationship?
Okay. Why do you feel like you don't know how?
I guess it's more of a general anxiety and fear around dating.
Okay.
I've found it hard to meet people in person.
Okay.
And I'm on the dating apps, I'm on Hinge, but that's where the fear comes in. I cannot meet up with someone from Hinge. I'm so scared.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I don't mean to laugh, but where your fears, are they coming? I mean, listen, as a woman,
Yeah.
there's some things you have to worry about that most men maybe don't, right? Your actual physical safety. There is that. That being said,
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of good, safe men out there, and you just have to be smart about your choices and situations you put yourself in that you can maybe conquer this fear. But that aside, outside of just general, hey, I'm a woman dating men and I need to be mindful of my safety, where are your other anxiety and fears coming from?
Honestly, so I've kind of just recently started taking Hinge more seriously. Before it was kind of just seeing what's out there, and I never really had any real intention for that fear. I was always I don't want to be meeting up with people that I don't know, but my friends have done it, so I've definitely been a little bit more eager. And I've also recently come to the terms with I'm 24. I need to put myself out there if I want to, get into a relationship, be a person. So the fear is honestly, I don't know. I think it's the buildup. What made me write to you guys was a couple weeks ago. I matched with a guy on Hinge. Cute. We exchanged numbers. We texted here and there. He tried to we both tried to make plans, kind of fell through. And then 2 times I rescheduled. I'm putting air quotes because I was so I was sick with anxiety. Also, I feel like it's worth mentioning, I can go out to the bars and talk to guys. I'm not anxious in that sense. Granted, there is a little bit of alcohol, but even sober, I'm fine. It's the buildup of I don't know this person. I don't know how awkward it's going to be. It freaks me out.
Have you ever suggested a Zoom date or?
I've thought about that, or even because he had my number, I've thought about being can we FaceTime just to get a vibe check? But I don't know.
What don't you know?
Okay, I think maybe this also plays into it. I feel like this is normal for people. I go through phases where I don't care to date. I don't really want a boyfriend. I'm happy with
that makes sense.
My life. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people feel like that. But so I feel like when I'm in those phases, I don't care enough to make the effort to say, oh, let's FaceTime.
Yeah, but that's not the problem. Isn't when you aren't in the phases of wanting to be independent and single. The problem is when you're in the phases of maybe wanting to get out there, you're incapable of doing that, right? So that's just an excuse you're telling yourself to make yourself feel better about the fears and anxieties you have about getting out there. And also this is really more about you developing a skill.
Yeah.
Rather than whether you're ready for a husband or not, or if you're interested in having a boyfriend or not. This is about you just developing some basic social skills for
Yeah.
kind of breaking it down so that like you can put yourself in more advantageous situations to maybe meet a guy whenever it is you're ready to meet a guy. But even when you meet guy, listen, like, nowadays, with all the, language around dating and love bombing and things like that, but we have, it's hookup culture has never been more prominent. Commitment and defining relationships never been more rare. At the same time, now we all have these new terms like gaslighting and love bombing and yada yada. And now it's like everyone out there is dating things like, well, they told me this, and now they changed their mind, and they're a love bombing, narcissistic, shooting pieces of shit because, like, in May they told me this, and in June they told me that, and that those two things aren't the same, so they must have been lying and manipulating me, and now they're a fucking loser, and I hate them, and they're a narcissist, and I'm just a victim of evil people out there. And that's just not reality. The reality is like, we all are just, especially in our 20s, a little self-centered, a little confused, a little unsure. We're all just figuring it out. We feel things, we react to them, we process our feelings. We realize that maybe our initial reaction wasn't the right reaction. I've heard the phrase recently, something like first feeling, second choice or something, We have a feeling we feel whenever it is we feel something in that moment, but maybe it's the second choice or the second thought that maybe is the better thought than the first thought that comes into our head when we find out some crazy shit or whatever. That just comes with maturity and things like that. So, listen, like obviously I'm just kind of saying a bunch of random shit here, but I'm just trying to offer you maybe some perspective because I think when we get in our heads, we lack perspective. And then you just start going and you start ruminating, going down these rabbit holes, and you psych yourself out and you get nowhere.
Yeah, that's very true for me. I feel like I'm conflicted because on one hand, like you're only in your 20s once. I want to, experience a lot of different things, meet new people, live them to the fullest. But then on the other hand, it's just that fear of like, I don't know, I guess the unknown, because this is something that I don't know that side of myself, if that makes sense. Like,
what side? What?
Like, I guess, like, I've never been in a relationship. Honestly, I think the last guy I liked, it was in high school. Like, throughout college, I was kind of in and out, didn't really get involved, work, didn't really meet anyone. So,
And you didn't like a guy because you don't feel like you let anyone close, or you were just like, honestly, I don't even remember the last time I had a crush on somebody.
no, I can remember like little crushes, but nothing like.
Well, and what's your gut tell you? Do you think you've been a little bit more avoidant, or do you think you just like haven't met anyone, or you've been too busy to care?
I think it's literally a combination of all three. I think.
Okay. Well, the
I'm
other two parts are
definitely avoidant.
fine, but like
Yeah.
my guess is you're calling in to trust the whatever a part of you is that avoidant part, so you can like you said, be a human whenever you want to be a human, and when you want to be an introverted, recluse, you can be that, right? You're only 24. You have a lot to figure out about life yourself. You're not this like one-dimensional person. You can be multiple things at multiple different times. But this is about like you recognizing and wanting to address, a problem that you have that's stopping you from, as you, in your words, at times feeling like a human, stopping you from having experiences that part of you wants to try to enjoy, but like you're letting your fears, insecurities, neuroses stop you from having those aspects of your life, right?
Yeah, totally.
So when you're trying to understand your choices, you should be mindful of this internal dialogue you have, because here I am listening to you. I'm a stranger to you. I don't know anything, And so this happens a lot when people call in. It's like you have your question, right? Here's your main theme. Here's what I want to help with. And then as you tell your story, you are including things that you're including, like what I hear is like things you tell yourself from time to time, and now you're telling me.
Mm-hmm.
And those things you tell yourself to me are just things like they're just either excuses or these are things that I can hear your inner monologue and how you justify choices, how you convince yourself of things. Yeah, things that we all do, right?
Yeah.
And so as far as your problem that you called in for, as it relates to that, yeah, I mean, I don't care. I mean, it's not really relevant to your problem that sometimes, you're fine with being an independent woman, and it's, and great, that's awesome. But we need to address the part that's causing you to avoid life.
Yeah. I know it's something I need to do. Like, I just need to.
So what are the things, like, okay, we acknowledge you need to make sure you're safe. We get that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm guessing what's stopping you from moving forward with these dates is less about, is he going to kill me? And more about you, all these like thoughts of, I don't know what I'm going to say. Is it going to be weird? Am I going to feel uncomfortable? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm just going to stay home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So it's less about safety, but like, but solution one, just start vibe checking them. Like you said, FaceTime, Zoom date, you don't even have to give out your number. You can literally create an email that's only for online dating. It can be whatever you want. And when you're like, hey, that's the email you share for Zooms, and like that's all it is. Like that's the only personal information they have is an email you give out to strangers.
Yeah.
So then you're safe there, right? And if, listen, that's being extra cautious, but listen, if you want to give out your number, chances are that's probably fine too, right?
Yeah.
But a FaceTime call or a Zoom call goes a long way. You get a sense of their humor. You can get a better idea of what they look like, their voice, their inflections, do they pay attention? Do they ask questions? Like, I don't know. It's also just Zoom or FaceTime, so be prepared to be wrong, but you can learn more than text, and it's just a stepping stone. That's helpful. That being said, I think one thing, and then you're like, I don't know, whether lipstick on a mirror or post a note to yourself, I don't know how you remind yourself, but you should write down in a journal, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
When you're debating whether you want to go on a date with these guys, whatever questions you have about what they might think, do, or act, like, who gives a fuck? They're most likely going to only be strangers in distant memories. So who gives a fuck what they think about you? And for all the guys that you go out with and decide you don't like, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck what they think? Who cares? Like you were pretty, you were ugly, you were charming, you were funny, you were obnoxious. Who gives a fuck? You won't know. Who cares? Yeah. It's none of your goddamn business.
Yeah.
And if you go in to just be and tell yourself, what I need to be is curious. Just curious. Like, I just want to meet people. I don't know. Maybe I'll make a friend. And focus on learning about liking them. Some of the basic things I talk about all the time, but clearly a lot of what you're talking about is a fear of what they might think, and you're thinking too much about what they're thinking, these strangers, my guess is, these men, and talking yourself out of it, and worried about what they're going to think of you, and worried about if you're going to be accepted, and who gives a fuck, and if maybe you can practice the who gives a fuck little mentality and a little bit, and
for sure,
maybe that'll help.
Yeah, I definitely have been told I care a lot of what people think of me.
Okay. There you go.
And it's, so there's that. And it's also, like I said, it's like, I do not want to put myself through what could possibly be like torturous, awkward, but I know something I have to do. And like,
I don't get that mentality in general. I think that mentality is more and more prevalent, but like, life is pain in a lot of ways. And I say this as I've gotten older. Some of your most memorable moments as you get older, and the moments you look back on fondly, and the moments you learn from the most, will be the moments that, when they happen, will be painful, will be sad, will be difficult, will be challenging, because that's just life. I don't know. Like, no one takes all their advice from other people. Like, we just don't. We have to live life, experience it, make mistakes for ourselves. And you are skipping out on a lot of aspects of life for the sake of like not putting yourself through something that you don't even know what that something is. Like, I don't know, live some life, get fucked up a little bit. I don't know, have someone fuck you over. I don't know. Like, yeah, you'll be sad and you'll cry and like, but you'll live, you'll deal. Like, I don't know. Right now, it sounds like you have very limited resiliency.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe you're resilient in ways that you don't realize, know, but you are avoiding obstacles for the sake of protecting yourself. And I just want to let you know, you're not really, you might be protecting yourself in the short run, but you're definitely not protecting yourself in the long run because you're avoiding lessons and opportunities for growth.
Yeah. No, I get you. I also am someone who, like, you clocked me. Like, I avoid things that I know will bring me discomfort, pain, just because I don't want to feel those things. But again, I know it's something I want to do and I want to be better at, which is obviously why I'm talking to you now. It's just a matter of like getting myself to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that is true. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. If you want to think of an analogy, I'm sure you've seen a lot of guys cold plunging these days, or women, or whatever. It's like a new phrase, and
Yeah.
I don't think that ever gets easy, but like it's a lot easier the more you do it. And the first time you do it, boy, dipping your toe in that water is like, I'd rather not. And a lot of times you're just like, fuck it. I don't need to be cold. I don't, fuck, man.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to do it. You just got to build up the fucking guts, and you just got to do it. And you got to tell yourself rationally, your rational brain has to take over and say, I feel all these things. I acknowledge my feelings. Yes, I'm scared, but rationally, I know that I'm being irrational. You got to understand the difference between being scared and being in danger. That's something I was kind of reinforced in my brain when I did that show, Special Forces. You're hanging from the sky and walking, and scary shit. But like I was safe. I was all strapped. I was just scared. It was scary to do that shit. But I was never really in any danger.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson you have to learn. So you can, and I could have been scared. I could have told myself, oh, I got a kid on the way. I shouldn't be doing this stuff. But the reality is I had to conquer a fear, So when you get worked up and you get, you gotta check yourself and look in the mirror and call yourself out and be like, all right, I'm doing the thing, using that analogy of Special Forces. There was this thing called the leopard walk, right? And it was just basically this rope that was connected between one mountain to another, and below it was, I don't know, like a mile deep. And I had to crawl on the rope across, right? Now, granted, I was very safe. I was all hooked up to safety things, and I could have jumped off and been totally fine. And eventually, that's exactly what happened. And when I did it, I didn't do it because I didn't get to the beginning of that rope and then figure out how to be not scared. I did it while being scared.
Yeah.
I just did it, and so right now you get these dates, so you plan these dates and you get psyched out, and then you're trying to convince yourself not to be scared. And then you don't, and so you flake. You have to get to the point where you're still scared and you do it anyways, because your rational brain says, listen, like he looks normal. We've done a Zoom date. I've chosen a public place, like, like basic shit, just to make sure you're okay. It might be a bad date. He might be weird. I might be awkward. It might go terrible, but honestly, like, that's not going to hurt me. I'm going to be okay. So let's just go and fucking do this shit and give yourself the grace to not be perfect and not have him like you, and know that the first time doing anything, it's not going to be great at it. So don't go in there with the expectation that you're going to be perfect. And just see what the fuck happens. One bit of advice is I wouldn't let the first guy you want to date with know it's your first date. Just don't make it a thing. Stop, don't.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to know. Doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah.
Like, just.
Yeah.
And just try to have fun, just, when again, back to the silly Special Forces analogy, like, it is exhilarating to face a fear. And when I was still scared as fuck when I did that, but I was like, I know I'm scared, but I know I'm going to, like, it's going to be fucking wild. So, like, I decided to have fun. Then that was a choice. I could just make a choice and say, I'm going to do this shit. I'm scared, but fuck it. I'm going to have some fun.
Yeah.
And you're capable of doing that. You just haven't decided to do it yet. Yeah.
Totally.
Does that make sense? Is this helpful? Am I just...
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is. It feels good having it come from someone else, because I talk to my sister, I talk to, like, my friends to try and, like, not hold me accountable, but just, like, I'll tell them, and every time I'm like, sorry, I couldn't do it. And
listen, you'll do it when you're ready.
Yeah.
Just know, and that's, I could say that, and you could use that as an excuse to push back on these people trying to, like, motivate you. You can be like, I'll do it when I'm ready.
Yeah.
Sure. But, like, but just know that you are costing yourself right now. You are costing yourself good times, valuable lessons. You have fallen behind your peers. You'll live, you'll get through it.
Yeah.
You're still relatively young, but, like, there's a cost. And when you are ready to stop falling behind, when you're ready to stop missing out, you'll do it. But I would start being your own toughest critic instead of your friends. And I would try to challenge yourself to not talk yourself into quitting and being too scared, and just jump in the fucking pool.
Yeah, for sure.
And know that it won't be perfect. It won't be, be like, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do definitely get disappointed in myself when I do that because I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, it's a week away. I'll do it. I'll be fine. And then like the day before or the day of comes and I'm
And
like, oh
just out of
gosh.
curiosity, what
Mhm.
is the most common recurring thought that you have that psychs you out?
Honestly, it really is just the potential of it being extremely awkward, challenge to talk to him.
Ask questions.
Just yeah. Yeah, no, that's true.
Just be curious.
Mhm.
Be somewhat of an open book.
Yeah.
Do and listen, you can ask a lot of questions and they, listen, if you go in there being, do you like work?
Mhm.
He hates it, he likes it, I don't know. Follow-up questions. Oh, that's really cool. Just give a shit. Pretend to care.
Yeah.
And then maybe you find out you will. If you go on a date and you pretend to care and this guy's like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, no, doesn't elaborate, just gives you one-word answers. Yeah, you'll know quickly, like, yeah, I don't know. He's just, and then maybe he'll be nervous too, or he won't,
Mhm.
it's just not going to go perfect. So
Yeah.
just be curious and be open to, it's just a date,
Mhm.
no one's watching, no one's judging, no one's measuring.
Yeah.
There's no awards being handed out, got nothing to lose,
Yeah.
they're meant to be a little awkward.
Mhm.
Just try it out.
Yeah. Definitely will. I just need to, like you said, do it anyways because I'll overthink and overthink, and then
Stop planning it a week ahead.
okay, yeah, okay, yeah, no, because that is so true. Because there will be times where like I'm like, oh, I don't have plans. Like I would love to like do something or tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like go on a date. Like that would be fun. But then I'm like, I don't know who to
Literally,
ask.
I mean, at this point, you literally just go on the app and just ask anyone. This is not
Yeah.
about meeting your guy. This is about you
Mhm.
like learning how to meet strangers.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter the stranger.
Hmm.
Honestly, it might be better for you to go on a guy that you're like, I'm not even interested in this guy. I don't even find him that
Yeah.
attractive. Practice.
Yeah. That's that's a good point. And also, I just when you said that, it reminded me of something. I feel like that is also where fear comes from. It's almost like if I match with a guy on Hinge and like I don't give my number out a lot, but here and there, and we text for like a day or two, or I feel like have I don't know. It's just like a mental thing. I feel safer. I don't obviously there's no like uh nothing logical behind that other than just my brain versus meeting someone directly on the app. I don't know why it feels like more of a stranger to me. That's just a me problem, but that definitely is something also that
Well, meeting someone on the app is more of a stranger.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I just feel like I need that like well, like you said, I could do FaceTime,
Yeah. I mean,
vibe text.
listen, meeting someone on the app is literally just a stranger. It's just like random fucking people saying, I'm single.
Yeah.
And you meet someone at your bar that, there's so much less of a stranger. There's immediate rapport. You see them in the wild. You see what they look like. You see their voice. You see how they treat other people around them. There's so much more.
Yeah.
That's why jumping on a FaceTime or a Zoom, you can learn so much more about these strangers on the internet that like will hopefully like just give you a little bit more of a reason to, and you just be like, listen, I don't like meeting strangers or whatever, but like I definitely like,
Hmm.
and you say it like as a confident woman, just be like, yeah, like I like doing a vibe check.
Yeah.
And if guys say no to that, then great. That's weird for them. Why would they say no to
Yeah.
something cool? And when people say things like that's weird, don't let it get in your head. Them saying that's weird that just says that's different than I'm used
Hmm.
to, and I'm not used to different. And so I'm going to call it weird to make you feel a certain way about me not liking something that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
It's this mental game. So like someone calling, so like if someone calls something weird, let it be weird for them.
Hmm.
It's not weird for you,
No, totally.
you
That's a
know?
good point.
So if I were you, baby steps, try going on the apps and try having a couple Zoom/FaceTime dates. Let's try it out. Practice.
Okay.
They don't need to know you're practicing.
Yeah.
And when you practice, be like, yeah, I just want to, hey, I've never done this before, the guy will say. And you're like, yeah, well, it's just honestly meeting. And you say, like, listen, like, honestly, meeting strangers, it's always fucking exhausting. And, I don't know, of an act, I just kind of want to do a vibe check, and what do instead of what do you do for work and what are you doing this weekend, just over a text, just do that over Zoom. And if anyone at any point is like, this guy's not the worst to talk to, just be like, I don't know, do you want to, let's grab a coffee,
Yeah.
and just go from there. And
Yeah.
again, just remind yourself, I am not doing it at this. There's no stakes here. I'm just meeting people.
Yeah, sure.
Very, very kind of open-ended, very cash, very whatever. Kind of a personal question, but I'm just curious how this is playing a role. Are you limited? You haven't had, have you had boyfriends? Like, what's your, are you hooking
No.
up? You're very.
No, I'm not.
Are you a virgin?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's.
But yeah, and I would say that it's subconsciously definitely plays a role, but at the same time, I know who I am, and I know that I wouldn't I don't want to say settle, but if someone made me feel bad for that, I know it's no reflection of me, if that makes sense.
Awesome.
It wouldn't bother me.
Good.
I mean, yeah, okay, that's a lie. It probably would bother me, but that's not something that necessarily stopping me, because I know for the right guy, it'd be fine.
And is this more? Is this a religious thing? Is this you just you just are?
Yeah, just
okay,
am.
Great.
I just never
great.
found.
Well, I guess just don't whenever you want to, you will. Whenever it feels right, you will. But my advice to you on that is don't make it more special than it needs to be. Respect it, because it is a very powerful thing that most people don't respect. But I think it's just a weird thing in 2024. Religion and other reasons you're making decisions aside, but for someone like you, I hope it's not the most memorable sex you ever have.
I get you.
And I certainly hope it's not the most special sex you ever have. So just that's it. But yeah, it sounds like it's not really having that much an effect on your dating life. I'm sure, everything, everything is everything works together, on some level. But I don't think these men need to know much about that until you really feel comfortable with someone that you're dating. And, until then, you dating and you going out and meeting people is about you learning about them, not the other way around. It is their job to be curious about you, and you can gauge your interest in them by how curious they are in you, but don't let their lack of curiosity trigger your ego and chase them for validation, so.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely is because I want to date because I want to experience it, learn who I am in that aspect of my life, not necessarily to get a boyfriend right now, or it's more so just for the experience of it all, and to I guess learn more about myself and experience things that I have not before. So yeah.
All right. Well, just the final thoughts. I think it's about your general mindset, and that changing that mindset to be adventurous. It's really just about that. This is not about This is not about losing your virginity. It's not about finding a boyfriend. This is about getting better at meeting people. And learning about people. It's also learning a little bit about yourself. What do you learn about yourself when you're meeting these people? What do you find yourself being drawn to? Those are questions you ask yourself after dates, and just be open to learning. Face your fears. The biggest thing is if you can say the thing, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to feel that, then know that you need to do that thing. That is your big the bat signal that says you're avoiding this thing irrationally out of fears that are just fears. And
for sure,
when I need to just do it, because you need to feel these things. It's part of life.
Yeah, I agree. I'll do it.
All right.
First step is a FaceTime date or a FaceTime
make
conversation.
Make it simple. And let's just, maybe you want to do 10 of those before you actually do a real date, but just make sure you're making some kind of progress, and challenge yourself to extend your comfort zone a little bit at a time.
Okay, well, this was definitely helpful.
Okay.
And encouraging.
Great. Well, follow up. We're going to follow up with you like in a month. And hopefully by then you'll have at least gone on a Zoom date, but hopefully a real person date. And I think the biggest thing is, again, it literally doesn't matter who. Just make sure they have a heartbeat.
Yeah. Okay.
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 All right. And they seem safe.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thank you so much. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.